Hi guys, can you hear me? If you can hear me, you can type on the webinar. Then I will start the FDPS training now. Okay, now I will start the FDPS training today to introduce the FDPS system and also the FDPS service, which can help your customers and your end users to make our Fanvil IP phones deployed remotely and automatically. That's the scheme that we talk about and we want to show you in detail. This is the contents that I want to show you one by one. First, I will make some brief introduction to show you what's the FDPS and why we need to use FDPS. The FDPS is the Fanvil Distributed Provisioning Service abbreviation. It's a kind of free service or a free server run in internet. It can help Fanvil agents, distributors, and some resellers who wants to make phones remote deployed and auto-provisioned by some simple method, but not the complicated method such as DHCP OPION or PNP method or some other, for example, DR069. The right picture shows the FDPS mechanism. There's a FDPS server, which also a web server run in internet, and our IP phones will be sold to some customers and some end users. And then with the FDPS, these IP phones will automatically deploy config file and some other related files for IP phones installed and downloaded. So with FDPS and without FDPS, what we can do or we have. Actually, if we do not use FDPS, for many customers and users who have no some, for example, network administrator or some computer administrators, they have to make some manual operation to make the phones, for example, the SIP settings configured, and also some, for example, the LDAP phone book, local phone book, and some other settings which needs the user to change via the web or some other like LCD menus, config files. It will take many persons' manual job to do it. And moreover, for example, we have the only one firmware for the global users, but different area or countries users who need different languages. We could not provide one firmware with all languages. Then we have to provide more users and customers with special firmware to make the, for example, the special language available. But with this kind of firmware, the customers and the users also have to install and download manually. But with that DPS, they might only manage with the FDPS and one simple file server to make these files upgrade and downloaded automatically and also remotely. That's the with or without FDPS advantage and defects. And also with the IP phone provision, without FDPS, you must choose one method, either DHCP option, which will need the DHCP server to configure and support, or some PMP like 3CX or some other PBX which supported the PMP method to make the phone auto-discovered and then automatically deployed. And then there's also the static server setting manually for the IP phones, but it is also needs the IP phone administrators to set up these phones before make the static provisioning setting available. They will be very low efficient. With FDPS, the only thing you need to do is to get the phone's MAC address and then create a file server with config file and some other firmware files, then nothing to do to the IP phones. You can save more costs to deploy and also training some administrators. Just maintain the FDPS and the file server. Moreover, without FDPS, no matter the auto-provision method you use, there will be some risk. For example, if you change some network environment or the PBX, the previous auto-provisioning method worked, or the config file might be lost. Then you need to change, or you need to repeat the auto-provisioning method and operation again locally. But with that DPS, no matter what the IP phone is, where is the IP phone is, or even by some mistake operation to let the IP phone reset, as long as the file server and the config files and other files existed, the FDPS will let the phone redirect it and get the file again. There will be no operation failure or some other files missed. That would be the FDPS advantage. Let's see how FDPS works with the communication flows. FDPS server is run on the internet. It is a free service, and any Fanvil agent, distributor, or even reseller might apply to Fanvil to get a free account to log in FDPS to make the sold IP phone managed ready. So the first thing this customer or the end users might do is get account and then log into the server via the web page and then input the MAC settings and also some other redirected provisioning settings. After they configured for the FDPS server with the phone information or data, they can put the IP phones to the end user's environment or the network. Also, before they power on these IP phones, they also need to make the config file download server, which should be saved with the config file, for example, which is saved with the IP phone required safe setting or some other, for example, the DSS key with the BRF settings, the LDAP phone book settings, or some other settings. After the config file server ready, then the end user might plug the power and the net LAN connected. After that, these IP phones will do the second steps they will access to the FDPS server. The FDPS server will receive the request from these IP phones and validate them. It is the secure and the private because we can use HTTPS to make the communication encrypted. And then the FDPS server will respond with the config file server's URL and the related settings to inform this phone redirected access to the downloaded server. Then it is the step 4. The IP phone will access to the config file server to download config file and also some other related which is also included in the config files. The 5th step is the config file response with the IP phone request to get the config file with the mac.cfg or some other config file, for example, some input id.cfg request from these IP phones. And then these IP phones will apply and save the config file with the setting locally worked. For example, the IP phone will get the config file with the SIP setting, and then they will register to the local or remote SIP server or SIP PBX. After that, the IP phone is ready for calls. So with this flow, you can see the end users or the customers will do nothing to IP phones. There's zero-touch provision or zero-touch installation. The only thing they need to do is to maintain the FDPS settings and create a file server. All this might be done remotely. No need to go to the end user's network or the office to make them ready. And also, like I just introduced, if the IP phones is reset to default settings, they would repeat the step 2 until step 5 to try to get the config file back. That is the circle operation and maintenance to make the config file available all the time. That is the FDPS application worked and the IP phone deployed and installed, zero operation and management. So you can see it is very easy and not very complicated. So let's see what's the FDPS features. It is a plug and play to make the IP phones installed and deployed. No need one operation or some other special environment make ready, just a config file. Also, it is graphic web page management, which the end users, if they have not too many phones management, they can directly access to the FDPS server and then input, manage manually. It is very easy to learn and to use. Also, to some, for example, the PBX manufacturers and some service provider or system integrator, they can also use our RPC to make remote connection and remote management. No need to make the web interface operation, which will be also low efficient. And also with FDPS, it is very easy to learn because the FDPS is a very light service. It is not a complicated management server, just a redirected provisioning service. So it is very easy to handle, to learn, and to use. And also, there's another file download server just need a HTTP or HTTPS or FTP or TFT server with some config file edited or make ready for downloaded from the IP phones. So it is very easy and convenient to build. No need to train some technician or engineers to maintain this environment. Like I said, we can support both HTTP and HTTPS. With HTTPS, it will be more secure. Also, we can support the HTTPS authentication to make double with the encrypted and also with the username password authenticated to avoid some invalid devices or some other hacker try to steal some top secret or some other, for example, the password, some account settings. There will be no backdoor or some leak to allow the user to get it, because it is simple and with the standard encrypted method to make the connection and communication as secure as enough, I think. And with the FDPS, more and more customers will worry about different kind of firmware management or required. Even they will order the standard version for these devices from Fanvil, and then they can require and contact with the, for example, our tech support or some other sales guys to try to make some special requirement for the firmware version. For example, with different languages, with some different special customized default settings, they can do it by themselves. No need to require this data or this information or files produced by Fanvil directly. And even they can change freely when they sell the phones to different kinds. They can sell to French users, they can also French German users. Depends on what's the user required, for example, for the special settings. They can handle them. No need to ask for Fanvil's customized. Since it is a light service, Fanvil will make it is a free service for our customers. That means you can use it freely. No any fee or charge with additional condition for the IP phones selling or some other marketing policy. As long as you want to use it, you can contact us to try to apply a FDPS account. And that is the FDPS features for the customers and the end users, especially for these customers who need to help the end users to create and build some provisioning environment, but they do not want to make too many hard work for these users to deploy and maintain this environment to only make a IP phone zero-touch provisioning or some other as simple operation and management to let the IP phones registered and make calls and also other settings batch provisioned to these customers. Next, I will introduce the FTP account applied and the process flow. For now, we have the account policy for our customers. The top account is our FDPS root users who will take in charge to receive the apply and then generate account for the users, agent or distributor. So the agent and the distributor will be the second level FDPS account. This level account might manage devices directly, and they can also create and manage their sub-account for their resellers and their customers. And this is the final account who can also manage devices directly, but they could not create next level account or other account who want to use FDPS. So as you can see now, all customers might try to apply from Fanvil to get FDPS account, but we recommend that the Fanvil agent distributors who apply to us, we will directly create the second level account. And any other customers buy the IP phones or Fanvil devices from these agents or distributors, you can create an account for them. No need to let the reseller or some other customer apply the account from Fanvil. There's no need. And also, in future, we will improve our FDPS system, which will restrict this no matter agent, distributor account, or the reseller account. Their devices will be restricted with the MAC address when they buy, which means as long as you buy the IP phones from Fanvil, our system will generate the MAC address list directly imported into FDPS. Then when you sell the IP phones to some reseller or some end users, all you need to do is manage the MAC list with the devices matched with the redirect provisioning settings or URL to these persons. No need to import the MAC address list manually. That will be further convenient for you. But we'll also make the device management more secure with some restriction or avoid some mistake. Here is the FDPS web interface. Also later, I will try to make some real web page access and some interface introduction directly via the web browser. And also, we put the FDPS user manual on the website login interface. You can directly download in English version to learn more and some detail. But however, there's seldom page need to handle or need to learn. After a while, I will make some demo for you. Then you can know how it is simple and easy to operate. And I also introduced we have the RPC method to allow some PBX manufacturers and also some other system integrator or service provider to make the remote FDPS management. So let's see what the FDPS RPC is. Just like I said, some small end users or some small customers who can use the FDPS web interface to input and edit the MAC list and also the redirect provisioning settings via web. It is easy, but to some big system integrators or some PBX manufacturers like 3CX, they will not use the FDPS web interface to import to manage these IP phones. It is not feasible. So with the RPC, which is also realized by the HTTP post via the XML description, these people might make the remote communication to send the command to FDPS to ask the FDPS to add MAC address, to delete MAC address, to add delete URL remotely. Then there will be more efficient and quickly. For now, we only have provide the MAC address and the redirect provisioning settings, add and delete. But in future, we will also add more interface and API for the RPC, which will allow these people to make the local FDPS management interface just like our web interface, but integrated in their system. Then they can see the device list, they can see different group. Even they can also, for example, second levels FDPS account, they can add or delete account via RPC. No need to management on the FDPS web interface. So if any customers that you want to know more about our XML RPC method to try to integrate your device or your system with our FDPS service, you can contact us to get some documents to know in detail. Here is the RPC described in XML format. The left is the RPC request to try to add some device MAC address into FDPS server. And the right side, there is the FDPS HTTP response. This is the XML content to confirm the device with the message request with response result, okay or not, or some other error messages. So that is the simple RPC example for your reference. For now, I will not show you too many content about the XML because it is not for end users or some small customer users who will only use the FDPS web interface. But to the PBX manufacturers, that will be very helpful to them. Okay, now the FDPS introduction is finished, but I will continue to show you some operation and some example to help you understand the FDPS usage and management in detail. Okay, here is the FDPS login interface. Like I said, you need to apply your account directly from Fanvil, and then we will create based on your company name, and then create the account and the password for you by email, and then you can use the account to log in. For example, I create a second level account based on my name, and then I can log in. Okay, this is the default page with some information and some other content described. You can also change your password because my passwords is with the default policy and generate message to you. If you do not want to use it, you can change the password and with your private one. I cannot see your password, so you do not worry about the privacy or some other issues. And also, you can check the summary for your managed devices and your redirect preventing information here. And since I'm a second level account, I can also add the third level account for some. So I can create username and create password and then the company name to help me remember what's the account belongs to the company. And then I can, for example, okay, then the account might be logging to the FDPS. He can also import and then edit the group by themselves. You can also delete if you want to remove it. Here is the account management, but this account is already the third level account. You cannot let the account to generate other FDPS account. Please remember. And also, this is the FDPS device management interface. Here, I make my X6 IP phone's MAC address into the device list. And also, I already added a group. The group also means the redirect preventing settings with a name. Then, after the IP phone reset or first power on, it will access to the FDPS to try to get these groups redirected preventing settings. So let's see what the group is. Oh, I forgot something, how to add. Here is the add device. For now, the second level account needs to use the Excel to import. So let's see what the format is. Okay, here is the max setting list. The useful settings that you need is this column. You just need to input the MAC address without the column, just the MAC address digits. Even the model, it might be ignored, but if you want help you understand or remember, you can also input the model name to help you match what's the phone that you are managed. After that, you can import. Because the devices is already existed, so the FDPS system indicates that the device add failed. It doesn't matter. We just close it. This is the add, or you can also press delete. Here is the group settings. We define the redirect provisioning setting with a group name to identify which setting that the IP phone needs to binding or deployed. So let's see what the settings is configured. First is the group name. In order to distinguish different customers or different users, redirect provisioning server or some other settings, you can name them by different special method. You can, for example, for the orange for Telefonica, or for example for China Telecom. With this name, you can distinguish what's the redirect provisioning service that the IP phone might be used. And also, these are for the IP phone's provisioning settings that you can also get via the IP phone's web page. For example, this is the authentication username and password, which is used for the HTTP, HTTPS, and also FTP to make username password authentication. You can input here to let the phone saved directly, and then when these IP phones access to the, for example, FTP server, they will directly use the username password authenticate. No need to input the username password manually. And like I said, if there is no DHCP server option available in your LAN network, or if you confirm that the IP phone LAN network has DHCP server, but the DHCP server's option is not fit for the IP phones. For example, some DHCP server has the DHCP option 66. This option 66 is not ready for the IP phones, but for some other devices, then you might make the DHCP option disabled. Also, for example, you can make the PNP disabled, and then input your file server with the server's IP address, or even the server's FQDN domain name, and then select the protocol tab. There are 4 types that you can choose. And then make the update mode. We can make the update after reboot, which means our Fanvil devices will make the provisioning when the phone is on first time, or after reboot, it will execute the provisioning once. And also, we can make the time interval, which also mean periodically when the phone reboots, and it will keep the provisioning access to the server with the assigned timer periodically. This is the with default is 1 hour, and you can also change to other longer timer to make the provisioning access and communication. Also, if you think a simple config file server is not enough for your device management, but you can use, for example, some telecom service provider. They would like to use the TR069 by themselves, make huge device uh, centrally managed. They can, or you can put the teleservice providers settings here. For example, you can enable TR069 for these devices, and you can also set up the ACS server URL and with the authentication username password and some other related TR069 settings from the service provider. And then you can use the advanced management. To us, we also have the TR069 managed, we call FDMS, Fanvil Device Management Services or Server. Next time, I will also show you what's the FDMS, which is run with the TR069 protocol to make our IP devices remote management, which is more advanced and also complicated than the FDPS solutions. After that, you can save your settings and apply. And then, if there's a new device without group banding, you can add it and then a group for this device. Then press done. Here is the IP phone with default settings. You can see there's no other settings. But before I make the FDPS introduction, I did some tests to FDPS provisioning. So here you can see it is updated with the authentication username and password here. And also the DHCP option and PNP is also disabled, but with the provisioning settings, it is applied. And if I reset it and reboot it, I will try to reset them all. The IP phone will access to the FDPS automatically and then get its reset and try to download the config file. Now it is rebooting. During this time, do you have any question about the FDPS system or service that you want to know more? Let me see. Okay. Now I'm trying to let you have authorized to announce. Now you can see the IP phone's access to the provisioning server to download the config file remotely. Do you have any question? Or you can type here. Then I can reply your issues or your questions. I'm not sure why you can't.
Mr. Jabu.
I'll do one more time.
Yeah. He's getting notification for Microsoft license.
Okay, I can hear you. Do you have any question? Well, my webinar training for FDPS and also the FDPS web interface example is already finished. If you have any question, you can contact us or also contact me. I will try to leave my email here, and if you have any question, you can send email to me. Or but if you have any account required, please contact our sales colleagues. He will try to forward your requirement to our FDPS account manager, and then we will try to create an account for you. If you directly send to me, I'm not sure I can identify you and then create the account directly for you. So please note that. Okay, I found the question windows. Let me check the issue. Okay, I will answer the first question about the provisioning server changed. If you change the provisioning server, you need to edit the FDPS with the changed things. And then if you want to make the IP phones available to new provisioning server, you need to reset the IP phones to get the new provisioning server available. That would be the provisioning server changed method, but it is method 1. Also to method 2, there will be also require you to edit your config file on the current provisioning server, because you could not let the provisioning server change directly. You must make the previous provisioning server run and then install the second provisioning server, and then you can edit the config file to inform the IP phones to update the provisioning server settings to the new one. And with the FDPS change and config file changed, then the provisioning server change will not affect the phone to contact continuously. So that is the provisioning server changed, and the method to deal with the settings and the environment keep available all the time. I will answer the second question about the firmware. To our IP phones, they will not check the firmware version or the firmware for the, for example, for levels or for some others. They will only get the provisioning settings from the FDPS. So all IP devices provided in Fanvil provided, they will default pointed to the FDPS service. So it is automatically and default available. So there will be no firmwares or some other files who might automatically check or access to FDPS or not. Here, let me send to you. Here is my email. That any question that you want to get answer, you can send to me. If you want to get the FDPS account, please contact your area's sales colleagues or our sales colleagues based on your area or countries. Here I cannot distinguish where you are from and who I can introduce you to contact to confirm the FDPS account. But anyway, your sales or marketing colleagues might help you to get the FDPS account. Don't worry for that. Or you can send to me and identify your company name, then and also country or area. I will forward for you. It is okay. And well, if you do not understand the API for or RPC for FDPS, you can send to me by email. Then I can show you some documents to introduce the API or the RPC to let you know what the RPC for FDPS might do in detail. For now, our IP phones are suggested reboot to make the provisioning and the config file applied thoroughly, because some of our devices settings might be taking effect without system reboot, but some settings will need system reboot mandatory. For example, some network, some other, for example, VPN or VLAN settings. If there's no system reboot, there might be some mistake or some other unexpected error happened, which will lead system work abnormally. So we suggest, if you want to make the provisioning and also FDPS worked, reset or reboot is suggested or recommended. And Okay. Our FDPS is a light service run in internet, so currently we do not make limitation for the devices managed. As long as you can add, there will be no problem. But if you found the device is not managed normally, I think it should be our system error or our system problem. We need to fix it. So if you met the issue, you can contact us. Then we can let our RD colleagues to fix or try to resolve it. But you will not worry about this that you have restrict or you want to management. Just add and manage them as you want or as you can. Our FDPS will work only on our X series, but not old X3 and X4 IP phones, nor our older, for example, C series phone, which is the black and white LCD screen. So normally there will be X1, X2, X3S, X4, X5, X6, C600 might be available to our IP phones. And also our door phones and our intercom might be used with the FDPS. And we also do not restrict the account management with the quantity restriction. We create more account as the FDPS might be accepted unless the space or the service restricts the account management. Then we will try to enlarge the FDPS service by some cloud service provider. So don't worry about that. Okay, I just introduced the IP phone list, but it is a good reminder that I should make a to allow all the customers to confirm what the devices are available with FDPS. So later I will try to update some documents or some our website to make the list available. Thank you for your reminding. Okay, my email address is frank.gao@fanvil.com. You can try to send email to me, and then I will deal with your issues and reply your questions or forward your issue to our colleagues to reply you directly. Okay, let me see if I can share. Let me see if I can add the, okay. I've already dragged my presentation into the webinar. If you want to get it, you can try to download the for your reference. It is also opened, no restriction for your usage. Please refer. Okay. Any else or any other question? Okay. Time is up. If you have the we do not try to maintain our EOL products. So I'm sorry, C series or the X3 and the X4 will not be available for FDPS. It is beyond my capability to help you. But I still recommend, if you have the requirement, our X series phones will be a better choice for you. Okay, if there's no other issue, or if you have further issues, just send email to me, and then I can collect them. If necessary, maybe in future, we can arrange another webinar to make some discussion or answer your questions one by one, or make some scenario or some seminar to let your questions answered and replied more technically or more accurately. So I will end today's webinar. Thank you for all. I will stop the training. Bye.